What's up, WWE Champions Universe? This is Lee from Champions Chat, and I'm testing out the new crown plate, the really super cool rainbow crown plate that makes all the multicolored rainbow gems go on the board, the wild cards, and I'm going to test it with the wild card character, which, if you didn't know, is Hulk Hogan. So, boss battle wise, this Hogan is always the best choice because if there's a shield at least, and usually anyway, because not only does he do 800 million damage oftentimes, depending on how you set him up, if he's going up against Acrobats specifically, but he also does all color gems into wild cards, drops a bunch of them, and those count towards every single color in boss battle. But now, on top of him dropping his own wild cards, we have the plate. So, first I'm going to do a control set, right? This is how I run him usually. This is the drip plate. I know it's super rare. I have one of them, and I got it years after it came out. I don't know why it's not common at this point in the game, but either way, this is how I run Hogan, so I want to run a control the way I actually run him in my game, because then I can tell you if this is better or not, based on my experience, not some other format. The one thing I don't have for him on the this is a test account is I don't have that many Fury 3s, and so they're just gonna have to be a green or a blue, which is not his move color. I also don't want to put the red on there. I could do that right now to buff the red damage from 45 to 60%, but that would screw up the difference in the wild cards here in a bit, and since the wild cards count as any color gems, that is going to be a control as well. So, here's how we run Hogan. The Scoop Slam, 3 MP red, deal damage, increase the damage of all your gems by, 350%. Then hulking up, deal damage, and make 7 random red gems into multiplied gems of strength 5. We're going to buff that higher. If the opponent's class is Acrobat, which I might go against an Acrobat just to see at the end, but we're not going to go up against an Acrobat because this is a more controlled situation when you're not creating these. And if you go up against an Acrobat, you choose 7 gems to make red. That's going to be a bigger number here in a minute. And then the Axe Bomber, deal damage, and make still 8 random gems into wildcard gems, which is just wild. I mean, it straight up is. Now you've got the moments involved here. So tribute to the troops. It's an all mode moment, universal moment. Moves that generate all color gems will generate 3 more, which does work for the red or wild card, which I'll show you the red move if you want to swap it in for a little bit more control. All color gems do 100% more damage. And then in Faction Boss, no, those don't really matter. All right, so that's one. Muhammad Ali, level 30 moment. Gems do another 100% more damage. Multiply gems increase their strength by 4. Matching all color gems increases your moves. And then here again, moves that generate all color gems will create 5 more all color gems. So you're going to see all the wild cards that are created by this it's insane. Then you have WrestleMania 3, which is the weakest of the moments, but it's also the one you get for like everything. It's just readily available. Multiply gems will increase their strength by 1. Gems do 25% more damage. So you can see this was one of the first universal moments, but it was also one of the earliest moments, which of course one of the most iconic moments in wrestling history. It's just funny how this versus that, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, also I want to note Hogan does have gear. All color moves start with 4 more MP. If you don't have the gear, this move is out of reach. 4 more MP gets these loaded, so all you need to do is put Kofi right here. If you don't, sub in the belly to back suplex, deal damage, make 8 random gems red. And honestly, you can do that anyway. It does make everything into his primary color instead of wild cards, and so it is a good choice. And you just have to swap one trainer. So if you swap the black move in, swap out your black Woods right here. Otherwise, yellow Kofi is who we're going for. But yellow and blue Braun is the one I found first, and he works fine. Obviously, there's no blue moves, so he's just basically being Kofi right now. Then you can put in Sherry. You could also put in Mosh Potato if you want to take a hit on how many multiply gems are on the board, but you want to make more of them just in case 7 random red gems is not enough. If you're going up against an Acrobat, Mosh is possibly better because then you're actually going to create the red gems first. Then you're going to turn them into multiply gems. But without Mosh on here, or without going up against an Acrobat, if you have only 6 red gems on the board, Mosh or Howdy doesn't do anything extra for you. So then you've got Zombie Bailey for red gems do 40, multiply gems do 60, and Seth, Turtle Seth, for multiply gems increase the strength by 3. So that's all the setup. You've seen all that Hogan has, all that he does. We're going to go up against Zombie Sammy, as we always do, and kind of show you what this punching bag version looks like. It's pretty cool. When they made this move of Hogan's go up to 350%, it moved him to the absolute top tier of the characters, and I'm so glad they did. See, now we would have had enough on here to make more, so this is going to drop both the multi-gems from the move and the drip. So you see those times 7s, sometimes 17s. Here's where the wild card comes into play. You're going to make 16 of them, which means that as long as it can match anything else, it's going to hit. The one big difference with the red gem move is that if a wild card drops onto a multi, it kind of erases the multi, I believe. We'll see it in a second. Whereas a red would just make everything red. But at the end of it, we're going to have the red Royal Rumble plate go off, and that's going to do red damage to show our control. So let's see what happens. Boop. What a finisher. Just a regular old-fashioned clothesline. Boom. Now the red goes off. That's going to get that 17 right there. So we broke all of the multi-gems with that last hit. 481. Yeah, just a small hit there for Hogan. It's about not quite half what he does up against Acrobats. But as you can see, Boss Battle guaranteed 500 million pretty much, and that's with no multi-gem buffs or red gem buffs or actually any color gem buffs, because those wildcard gems are counting. They count weird. I don't think anybody has ever actually figured out exactly how the math on them works, but they count weird. So 481 million. The only change we're going to make for the control set then is to put on the pretty new crown here on Hulk Hogan's pretty bald head. So this one, instead of making 30 red gems, now when you destroy 30 plus gems, you generate 30 wild card gems at the end of your turn, which is just freaking interesting. Wild card gems have not had almost anything. Literally like Hogan's, any Hogan except for like 1 or 2 of them does wild card, but very few, if anybody else does. It's kind of cool that they've made that like his exclusive thing, but I like seeing it elsewhere. So, and yes, I know there are some others that do wild cards, but I mean, come on, try and name 5 off the top of your head. No, punch, punch, punch. Wish this were the leg drop. Okay, you can see this is where Sherry would have been a nuisance, and this is also going to be, maybe we have to run this back a second time here because we only had 4 red on there. So Sherry did good. Mosh would have done nothing for that because we already make 7 into times 17. There wasn't even 7 on the board, so adding Mosh or Howdy would have literally done nothing. All right, so we're going to run this a couple times because obviously this board is nowhere near as good as the last board was. 480 on the last one. Let's see if that 17 goes away. It does, yeah. So that overwrote the times 17. 155 million that time. 155 million. So the way those wildcard gems overwrite, we're going to run it again because, again, that was a bad board. Let's admit that was a bad board. But I'm going to have to say initially, if it overwrites the wild cards like that, which I'm going to swap for the red move after you know, again, we need a control. We got a control set. Now we need a couple experiments, not just the one. But so far, I'm actually thinking that's going to be worse for him than others. Now, who it would be great for, and maybe I'll check this out in another video, is somebody who buffs a specific color, or especially all color gems. That would be, because then you're throwing down, you're not worried about overwriting multis, you're just trying to get gem damage, and those wild cards are going to oblige. All right, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 exactly. So this is a much better board. This is much more in line with the one that we had before. So let's see what happens if we do this. See, now it's going to overwrite those. Yep, exactly overwrote one of them. 240. So 240 versus 480. As you can see, the wildcard plate on a multi-gem user is not ideal comparatively. It is just not ideal. So let's try his other moveset real quick, which is going to eliminate the wildcards on the first part on his move, and then it will drop the wild cards after. So hopefully we've broken a bunch of the wild cards. The other thing this does is it triggers the drip plate twice. All right, make 8 random gems into red. So now we need to get rid of Brawny, Strophe. Oh wait, no, wrong guy. We need to get rid of Braun Breckerson, and we need to move Kofi, Woods. Woods. Now I do remember him being way down here. Almost. Not almost. Not almost. Come on. There he is. All right, so same basic thing, except instead of creating wild cards, now you're making red, which is his primary color anyway, and then on top of that, you are also doing 2 black moves, so potentially you are triggering the drip plate twice. So I'm going to do this in reverse. First I'm going to, because, you know, it's easier that way. First I'm going to do it where you've got him with the wild card plate. Then I'm going to do it where we put the red rumble back on and compare. But yet far, Brett Favre, I think the wild card plate is better served on someone else. Someone who doesn't have multi-gems that would go away when you do this. Or reinforced gems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's watch this too, because it should drop more multis. That was a bad hit. That was a bad hit all the way around. That you should have dropped a lot more reds than that, by the way. Hey, look at that. All right, so that one was just a bad control. Let's go back and do that again. That was a bad control. Also, I didn't see the multis drop the second time. I actually haven't ever paid attention to that when I'm using him, so, you know, I was thinking about that. I was like, do I normally see the second wave of drip? I don't know. All right, this is a much better board. This is one where you would use Howdy or Mosh Potato, but yeah, the randomness of it. See, because you would have made 1, 2, 3, 4 more into times 17s, which is just good. All right, so I didn't see what number again. Sorry, I should have looked. It should be dropping 17, 18 of them. Okay, so that's 225. Still wasn't enough to trigger the plate, which is weird because I almost always trigger the red rumble plate. Something seems broken. And no, I'm not editing these out because I want you to actually see what happens with this. Like, I want it to be a true... Okay, the plate's on there. Just making sure. And here, did I choose the destroy move? No, it is make 16 random into red. Okay. Quick tip. If you don't have Seth Leonardo, while you could use somebody like Memrock, you could, or Howdy, you could also, that's a good board, could also use whoever makes red, I think it's Zombie Bianca, and throw out more red gems as well. Okay, we're just not triggering the plate. This is interesting because I never have this problem with my own Hogan. I almost always trigger the plate. And honestly, if you don't, it doesn't matter because as you saw, that was a hit for 175 million, and it was a very bad board. A very bad hit, I should say. That was one of the lowest hits Hogan does, and it is way higher than almost any other character can do on their absolute best day. So I'm not upset about it. I just want to trigger the friggin' plate once so I can see what's going on with it here. Bam, bam, Bigelow, Bigelow, Bigelow. All right. And these last couple times we would have benefited. I mean, only one though, so I wouldn't say Howdy or Mosh would be great. All right, come on, get a good connection. 16. You only have to break 30. 16 of them are going to turn red. Perfect, maybe. 339. So that was more in line with his average hit, but just can't get that plate to trigger. I'll give it one more time, but in the words of the Mythbusters, I would say this myth is busted. I would not use the crown plate on Hogan, even though I was literally about to go make that purchase. I have the prize wall medallions. I didn't get enough to get the green Piper plate, which is what I really want, especially now. But Hogan was the one I had in mind for this because the wild card on wild card on wild card would be so cool, so good. But all right, that's good. Exact right amount of red gems. Oh, jeez, that was horrible. And again, that was among the worst hits I've ever seen with Hogan, 89 million. More than most characters can do all day, every day. So, all right, one last one. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to swap back on the red rumble plate and see... Well, actually, if I can't trigger this one, I can't trigger the red rumble plate. But again, I've sworn up and down I've done it many times on my own. Let's see. Yeah, it's all 30 plus gems. So, I mean, the wild card move pretty much guarantees that you're going to drop it. Yeah, but we've already seen that. And the wild card move with the red rumble is absolutely the way to go in terms of getting top end damage from him. Yeah, you know, if this doesn't work, I have one more way. If we go up against an Acrobat, we absolutely guarantee ourselves the ability to break the plate. And that's probably why I'm thinking I almost always see it, because even though I don't have to, I just love going up against Acrobats because I love seeing 7, 8, 900 million damage. Oh, nope, nope. Okay, so the second set of drips dropped after everything resolved. That's good to note. Okay. All right. Let's forget this mess because this is going on longer than I planned it to. Let's go up against an Acrobat and just see. Let's just see what we can find out. Give me an Acrobat. Oh, I knew it. This is going to be Memrock. Give me an Acrobat. Not an Acrobat. Yes, you're an Acrobat. Ha! All right. Okay, we should be guaranteed to see it. It's just going to be a little clicky, but now you can see, just in case you needed to see, how Hogan runs when you do things this way. So, first, you buff your gems. By the way, that's a 3 MP move, so if you wanted to in boss battle, you absolutely can just use this move, red prop, this move, red prop, this move, red prop, bop, bop, done. I promise you, he destroys the boss. It's incredible. Best boss battle character, great feud character. I mean, you can swipe, as you've seen with Hogan, and finish the match just off of a swipe. I'm going to create a ladder here. I'm going to create a 4-pack whenever else I can. Nope, not there. There we go. All right, so now we pretty much guarantee... It worked out. We pretty much guarantee ourselves that. And look what we did, actually. I shouldn't have hit that. Oh, well. Screw it. I don't care. Screw science when you can hit the biggest thing you can hit. All right, there we go. Boom, boom, boom. Now we drop the wild cards. And we see 1 billion damage. All right, so wild card plate against Acrobats. 1 billion damage. I like that. Now picture that as a boss. That would be clickable. That'd be doable in turn 1. You'd be right up on the time wire, but 1 billion damage. Sir Zorro would finally be proud of me. I've earned his appreciation after all these years. Oh, I love Sir Zorro. Follow Sir Zorro on the YouTubes. One of our greatest content creators on the official team. All right, same thing. We're just going to use the red. If I have a red prop, would be nice, wouldn't it? I don't. All right, whatever. I will try to repeat my folly and do a 3-match just to make sure it's as even as possible. Yeah. Ding dong. It's one of the best movies ever. It's the best worst movie ever, I would say. Eurovision, The Story of Fire Saga. I can't tell you how many times I've watched that movie. All right, we'll do that on purpose. Hope it doesn't screw us. Not there. 4-pack there. Not there. 4-pack there. 4-pack there. All right. Perfect. That went amazing. All right, so now we can see the exact same thing, this time with the red rumble plate being the difference. We were right at 1 billion damage the last time. Let's see how this one fares with the red instead. $1.17 billion. 1.17 billion. So, okay, I think I've come to my conclusion here. I am back on board with the wild card plate being with Hogan, but only when you're going up against Acrobats, so you do break most of the things early. But as you saw, the red rumble plate was actually better in each instance specific to Hogan. Now, where you would use this, and I'll do another video down the road here soon, is somebody who buffs color gems. Like, hey, this person says all color gems or this color gems does more. However, you're going to keep in mind, like Seth freaking Rollins, for example, if you were to use it there, you got to make sure you've broken the reinforced gems first, which you should, and then it'll throw down. But it seems like if that's their color you're buffing of choice, that the rumble plate of that color actually still does better. So where this would have great practical application, somebody who breaks the board multiple times and then, at least once, and then can drop the rumble plate, that's going to be a boss battle destroyer, shield destroyer specifically. But as you can see, Hulk Hogan, 1 billion damage with the new plate, but also really just the Red Royal Rumble plate. So that's it for this one. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Like the video, subscribe to Champions Chat, and send this to your friend or faction mate who's going, hey, who do I put the Red Rumble, the multicolored crown thing on? Well, here's some ideas and some science tested. So, yeah, science. Bye.